well, last stationary test. Oh, that's the difference. Makes sense. One more step towards complete road legality and safety. We're going to get turn signals completely functioning today, I hope. Badlands has this nice Illuminator Pro III module, so the wiring seems pretty straightforward. I think I can do all the wiring right up in here. We're going to find out. But the cool part is this is an all-in-one. So this will turn these turn signals into run and turn. And at the same time, it's going to turn these rear turn signals into stop, run, and turn, which means I'm going to have to replace these with red. So I don't know what lenses will fit. If anyone knows if there's a red one available, is it just a standard red lens? You know, please let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. But that said, Badlands custom setup, which I think is funny because it comes with all these. And who would wire up a custom motorcycle with these? It's garbage. But otherwise, it's a tidy little module, relatively straightforward as far as the wiring goes. And I think I want to try to mount it. Let's see. I think I want to try to mount it up in here. So let me play around with that, see what I can't figure out, and start taking this thing apart. First thing I'm going to do, again, is remove this instrument cluster. This is another reason why I'm glad I did the helicoils on these threads, because the amount of times I've been taking this thing on and off, even if the threads were good and the aluminum wasn't, you know, junk 80s era aluminum, they would have stripped out anyway. So yeah, that was a good call there. Let's see, we have some room. I don't know where the best place to mount that is going to be, but we'll figure it out together. I also have a wire to look for under here, try to figure out for a comment I got on it, which I'm going to review in a second, see if I can't figure out what his issue was and if I can help him match up what I have to avoid his problem. So just a quick refresher course for me. So I have this one red wire, which is powered up, and I think this is the main feed. I think this is the main feed that goes to the ignition switch, because with it disconnected, nothing works, right? No lights, no nothing. When I plug it back in, and I hate playing with these plastic clips when it gets chilly out. But once I plug it back in, now I've got, you know, lights, everything working like it should. So that'll be the main feed, which means that harness right here goes down to the switch. It's actually something that I want to do. I forget the exact year. I think it was, someone said 78, that they changed this so that ignition operates the lights also, and you don't have to actually turn it to lights. But what I'd love to do is revert it back to the way it was prior to that law, mainly because when I change out to the Daymaker, I want to put it so that when I turn the ignition on, the trim ring lights up, like kind of like daytime running lights. So if anyone has any idea or explanation for how to do that, to revert it back, to separate the ignition relay or ignition circuit breaker from the lighting circuit breaker, I'd love to hear it. No, please let me know. That'll help. That'll be a big help. But for now, let's get back to figuring out how this is going to get mounted and where I'm going to wire it. So of the 3 circuit breakers, the one all the way to the left is on as soon as you turn it on, right? And it stays powered up all the way through accessory. The two I want to separate are these two, the second and the third. They light up with ignition and lights, but turn off with accessory. Same thing with this, the third one. So it's a matter of figuring out, I guess, which wire comes off the switch for ignition and which one comes off for lights. And if it's safe to separate them. So I don't want to overload, you know, the ignition or the lights, or, well, I guess it shouldn't, because it's operating them together now, regardless of whether you're on ignition or lights. Shouldn't be an issue, I don't think. Especially converting to LEDs, right? Yeah, I think it'll be fine. While I'm looking at it, I wonder if the old bolts, the caps for the Fat Boy forks, will work to replace these. I guess that'll be something we'll figure out once this comes apart. But that's just a thought I was having while I'm looking at it, because I want to get all this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to be mostly dealing with the wires that come off of this rocker switch. The yellow's dead now because it was for the hazards, which we're going to operate through the module. So I just snapped a picture, try to remember how it went together. Might help me in figuring out how to wire it. Probably do some temporary stuff to make sure that it actually works before finalizing and putting some good connections together. So I'll start pulling that apart. Okay, purple is left turn signal. Oh, would help if I turn it on. Now, purple is left turn signal. Gray-ish is right turn signal. And yellow is irrelevant anymore. So we've got brown and pink. Pink looks like left controls. All right, I see it there. And brown is in the right control. So right turn signal feed, left turn signal feed, right turn signal output, left turn signal output. Should be pretty straightforward. I just have to see how I can disconnect the front turn signals from the rear so that the rears can operate in a brake, run, turn fashion. But I think that could all be done up here. I hope it could all be done up here. I really don't want to mount that module somewhere else. Yeah, looks like it's 100% doable right from that plug in there. I can see the wires from each turn signal and the common ground. A little difficult to see, a little dark, but definitely doable right from here. And that'll be where I separate them. The more I look at it, the more I think that the connection, the separation between front turn signals and rear turn signals might be right in this plug, which will make things really easy, because this harness is what goes down, right down the neck through here to power up the back of the bike. And the other side of this plug goes down towards the headlights, the turn signals, and feeds into the main harness from the controls. So I'm going to do a little pinning, see if I can't figure out which wire is which wire I might have to cut, modify, break the connection, whatever it ends up being. All right, here it is. So this is where it splits for front and rear, right and left. It looked pretty straightforward, I think. Plenty of wiring to pull on and separate and make it work. Now, I'm just gonna have to figure out which one's front, which one's rear, make some notes on my instruction sheet so that I don't get confused when I'm actually plugging things together, or hopefully don't get confused. I think this is the way you could tell Badlands has been doing this a long time, because their wiring is very, very similar in color to the factory wiring, at least on this 84. Purple, brown, and then pink, close enough to purple, you know, a darker grayish. It's not bad. I think they did a nice job. I'm gonna pull this no longer needed yellow wire out. And now we're down to just the bare necessities for this to work. So if I'm right, these two will be the front turn signals, the power out to the front turn signals. These two would be the power out to the rear turn signals, and this is your triggers. And then I think I got to look at the instructions, but I think the only other thing I really need to do is brake lights, find a brake trigger. Simple enough. Yeah. So red with yellow coming off the controls, which is what was listed in the Badlands instructions, becomes red wire in the 1984 harness. Right next to the turn signal harnesses, that's your brake trigger. So I got to tap into this one, and I think I got all the information I need to start making some temporary attachments to verify this thing works. Without being a hypocrite, I am going to use those connectors on a temporary basis because I thought about it, and I've still got to take this entire thing apart. So why struggle with cleaning everything up at the moment, since I'm not really going that far with it, and wait until I've got this apart, wires in my hands? I think that makes the most sense. I think that'll end up creating the most reliable wiring setup. So I'm gonna go with it, and we'll see just how right or wrong I am. So I've got all my temporary connections made. The only thing I don't understand, well, I got power and ground still to do. Let's see, I've got green, blue, and white left. So green and white are the indicators. Now, I think that should already be tied in here. If it is, I will just tape them up out of the way, because that means that they'll have an output. And then the last one is blue, running light input. I don't quite understand why I need this, unless it should tie into the lighting system, which I want to try to separate from the ignition. Okay, yeah. All right, so I'll wire this with, let's see, it's the blue harness in here, right? Yeah, I'll wire it in with the blue, so it should work right now as soon as I turn it to ignition or lights. When I eventually divorce ignition and lights, then it should still work and only come on when I hit lights. I think that makes sense. Okay, all wired in. Like I said I was going to, temporarily. I hate doing it like this, but it's the only thing that makes sense. The next question is, does it work? So, on. And we have, oh, look at that. We've got running lights. Should mean the rear ones are on too. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so you might not be able to see this, but look at that. They work with the brake lights. I like it. And turn signal. Okay, right turn signal on. It's supposed to self-cancel in about 11 seconds, which is cool. I wonder if 11 seconds is long enough. Actually, it seems pretty long. So, yeah, 11 seconds should work. I mean, worst case scenario, I hit it again. Up there it is, self-canceling. Let's hit the right side, or left side. That one works. Now, I guess the real test is going to be, do I have to hook up the white and green wires, or will these turn signal indicators already work? And one way to find out, hey, okay, they're wired, perfect. Right side, left side, we'll hold them together for hazards. Oh, very cool, very, very cool. Yeah, like I said, I still have to change these lenses. I went and messed with one, and one of the screws is, don't look like it's gonna come off. So that's gonna suck if I gotta replace these. I have new ones, I just don't wanna use them because they won't look right. But I gotta get red lenses, or clear, but preferably red. If anyone could help me with that, I'd really appreciate it. But this is exciting. I suppose, since we're just doing things on a temporary basis, I can tie this stuff up together and tuck it in here and see if I can't get this back together, even if this has to go underneath. Oh yeah, it'll do that. I'll just zip tie it out of the way. That'll work. I am looking forward to cleaning up the wiring underneath here, because there's too much. There's too much stuff under here for no reason. But that'll come in time when everything is torn apart. For the moment, I'll just struggle with it a little bit. At least I know none of the wires are gonna move underneath there, because they don't have any room to move. Okay. Very nice, very nice. Double check that they still work, but they should. I zip tied the module to the speedo cable, the non-functioning speedo cable at the moment. So it's not going anywhere. All right, it's snugged. Last test, well, last stationary test. Oh, that's the difference. Makes sense. I could live with that for now. I could live with that for now. Okay, so I guess from the factory, the indicator lights are wired directly to the turn signal lights. So in order to get them to go completely off and only on when they're working, that's your white and green wire. Huh. Now let's take a look at it. You know what? Might as well do it now. Figure it out. I guess I was so excited just to see the turn signals working. Didn't pay attention to the fact that they were partially lit. But live and learn, and hopefully, if anyone's going to do this, they can learn from my mistake and wire it right the first time. Oh, look at that. The colors are perfect. So it's the purple and the, looks like purple and, oh, good question. Brown? Tan? Let's see. Purple and tan. Makes sense. I'll cut them down here though, I think. Yeah, I'll cut them down here so I can still pop this on and off. And then I'll wire in the green and whites right to that. And what do we find? More unnecessary wiring. So the wiring for the rear, yeah, which means those would have likely lit up when I hit the brakes. You know what? Let's take a look at that. So there they are in the run. If I hit the brakes, yeah, okay. So my thoughts were right. The wiring, it seems, for the rear lights, which I had here, runs up to this plug that goes to the instrument cluster and tees off or splices together. So we've got two purples, 1, 2, and 2 grays. Okay, think for a second. So I think I've decided the easiest way would be to separate these two wires that run from the plug into the harness and use the two wires that I originally connected as the output to turn on the turn signal lamps. So make some connections, test out my theory. Sitting here thinking about it, sipping on rapidly cooling coffee, because I don't have a nice little furnace that I can rest my coffee cup on. Deano, I'm talking about you. I would highly recommend checking out Deano's channel, Patch's Repair Shop. If you watch his most recent video, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's something that I probably want to set up. But also, he's got an 83 Tour Glide, very similar to mine, but somebody converted it to an Evo. So he's got some of the challenges that I have, and then some different, because the clutch is a little different setup. It's still shovel head stuff. Really cool stuff though to check out. And we've been chatting. Anyone that's doing one of these, you know, he's been very helpful. We've learned how to get some problems solved just by going back and forth. So I highly recommend checking his channel out. On this, I think what I've decided to do is cut the wires going into this plug and basically using what I was using before to trigger the tail, right? The tail brake. I'm going to switch those wires to here because this is what goes in the harness. And then the green and white, are going to go into this harness, which feed this plug, which feed the instrument cluster, which should work. There's a whole lot of shoulds. So let me make these connections, and then we get to see if should is reality. I don't want to get this wrong. Green is left turn, violet is left turn. So green to violet here. Simple enough. And then white, right? White to gray, tan, something like that. White to the other wire. White to the wire that's not violet. Sometimes that's good enough to know, right? And then these, which this is already pulling apart. So yellow to violet, I believe. And then gray to tan. And once this is together, well, I guess the first thing I could do is verify that the lights still work, right? So they're on run. I got them backwards. Left is right, okay. So yellow to tan. And then gray to violet to purple. They're on run. Left turn, and the front is left turn. Okay, so that seems to be working, and so is the brake aspect of it. So let's plug this back in quick before buttoning this up and fighting with wires, and just verify that. Okay, so they're not on. I like it. All right, we're getting there. Now I can comfortably button this up, not for the last time, but for the last time today. At least it looks pretty from the outside, regardless of what the wiring looks like inside at the moment. That'll do. That'll do. I am extremely content with this Badlands module. I'll put the part number in the description of what I used. You guys get a good idea of how I wired it. And I think I'll finish sipping this coffee and then maybe take a ride and go get some food. It's about that time. Turn signals, things you take for granted. When they work, you just expect them to work. Ah, that is just so cool. So I know I'm heading in the wrong direction, but I think I'll go to John's Deli. They're known for their roast beef with gravy, but my preference is the Nicky Santoro. So grilled chicken, broccoli rabe, fresh mozzarella. They make, I think, one of the best. So now that we're just making sure this thing works, nothing's changed, she's still running good, we're gonna head that way. Stillwell Avenue and 86th Street. And I think that's a nice reward, a nice treat for a successful installation. Hazards. I'm gonna be using them a lot, I have a feeling. Just because I didn't have them. I know I constantly talk about the suspension on this thing without doing anything about it, but I can say that after what I found on the Fat Boy, I'm really going to scrutinize the whole suspension on this thing. It just makes sense. I'm just gonna go over everything again. I think that's going to be the best plan to give me the best chance of making it, you know, to Sturgis with this. But we're gonna find out. Probably redo wheel bearings. You know, I know they looked okay, but you know, why take a chance with them? I'll redo the wheel bearings. I'll take a closer look at things like the axle and stuff like that, rear swing arm. Yeah, I'm not taking any chances. Turn signal. Still makes me giddy. Such a nice day. Look at this. I'm even going to use my turn signals to change lanes. That's going to catch New Yorkers off guard. They're not used to that. I'm sure this won't last long. I'm just excited to have turn signals that work. And look, someone using turn signals. So it's not just me. See, no turn signals. Maybe they don't work. So that's the typical one, right? He actually was going to the right, and then he ended up going left. You just always got to be on the defensive. Anyway, here we are. The original John's Deli. This is certainly a neighborhood staple. And it has been since 1968. So we're gonna have some today. I've been kind of craving it for a while. That grilled chicken sandwich I was talking about. I cheated. I ordered on Grubhub. Just makes it quicker. Johnny roast beef. Here we go. Food. This will come home with me. I think this is funny. I ran into this problem once. Well, I didn't run into this problem. My friend Chris did. Touring on Two Wheels 718. You want to check his stuff out. But he's got, or had, at the time it was a Road Glide, a CVR Road Glide. And he had the dual exhaust, right? So he picked up cannolis, and it didn't matter which side because he had a hot side and a hot side. The one thing I think that's cool is this having the 2-into-1. I kind of have a cold side and a hot side. So we're gonna put the sandwich into the hot side. I mean, it's not really hot, but I don't know, it makes me happy. To tell you the truth, it's actually gotten a lot of attention just the way it is. So, like you coming up and talking, you know?
I like it.
Yeah, I got it from a good friend of mine that's battling cancer. And he said he can't ride anymore. He knows how much I love motorcycles. So he said, you take care of it. So I'm trying to honor him, you know? Keep it the way he rode all over the country with this thing.
If you want to paint to bring it, all we're going to cover is this, and this over here, the Harley sign.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hopefully, if I want to paint it, I'll find you again.
Bring it. I'll sand it down real good. And you'll be with the bike. Oh, and you need upholstery.
Yeah.
So I gotta get a needle shoulder strip for it's long.
We get there, one step at a time.
Well, it's a beautiful bike, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Oil and good oil.
Oh no. So yeah, engine oil's been done, transmission, primary's been done, resealed. There's already been quite a bit of work done to it, even though it doesn't look like it, you know.
You like how it rides?
It rides all right. Like I said, the suspension, still a little, but listen, it's 40. It's 40 years old, you know.
It's all right. It doesn't matter. Mine's is like 30 years old.
Well,
man, you got yourself a bike.
Thank you, sir.
This car will take you anywhere. This bike will take you anywhere.
Well, fingers crossed, this thing's gonna take me to South Dakota next year. So that's the plan for it.
And I'll bring you back.
You know, we'll see.
No, I know it will.
Well,
that still looks tremendous. Oh.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna get out of here.
What is it? 1,000?
1340. It's a Evo.
Sounds good.
Runs all right.
Wow.
I'll see you later. You too. That's something that this bike brings all the time, is just random people coming up and talking about it. You know, I can't believe the reaction this bike's gotten, you know? Oh, I was wondering what this was. Fighting against the proposed homeless shelter. Good. I'm glad to see the neighborhood sticking up. I'm glad. We should do this. We need more of this. You know, stand up for your communities. But anyway, back to the bikes. Yeah, she garners all sorts of attention, and everything's been positive. So, you know, that's it's been a really cool experience riding this thing around, sharing it with everyone on YouTube, all of the comments, you know, all of the help that everyone on YouTube has been, the help that even people I run into just on the street have been. It's just amazing to me, you know, how people could come together around something like this. But I guess that's why we love motorcycles. Subway! It's strange how you get used to the noises. I go into places that are real quiet and it drives me insane. Like, I cannot deal with just complete silence. Oh my God. But I also don't know how people live next to the train. I guess you get used to that too. I think that's enough of a ride for today. I'm gonna head back and eat that sandwich before it gets too cold, and also because I'm starving. So let's do that. Well, I'd say that was a successful project completed, and a worthy reward is this sandwich, which I'm not even gonna wait to go inside. I'm just gonna tear into it. That's just, that is just so good. All right, I'm gonna enjoy this sandwich. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, there were a few issues, questions that I have concerns about. Those rear taillight lenses, one or two other things. Appreciate all the help, all the comments, even stuff that has nothing to do with this, that helps guide my future projects. So please continue, let me know. And until the next time, have a great day.